The living room was full. You couldn't even get in the living room. And we opened presents from about 9 o'clock in the morning till after 12 noon. When we were done, my wife said she wanted to talk to me out on the floor of the patio. When I went outside, it was a warm, sunny Florida day. And she was smoking, something I'd never seen her do. And when she spoke, her words were like a bolt of lightning out of the sky. She said she was in love with another man, and she was leaving me that day. And within the hour, he was packed up and gone. I was a broken man. Absolutely, emotionally bankrupt. I lost my wife. I wasn't close to my kids. And I realized that everything I devoted my life to couldn't make me happy. But the kids were in their mid-20s and some in their mid-teens. And they all said, "Hey, Dad, we're with you. We'll stay with you. We want to get our life back together with you." Well, I had planned a New Year's vacation in Las Vegas. Not to gamble, but to see the shows and celebrate the new year and actually have a vacation. And the kids insisted we go. They wanted to get reacquainted with Dad. We went, along with my umpteenth Kleenex box close by. On New Year's Eve, we're at the Caesars Palace in the Celebrity Showroom, and Buddy Hackett was on stage. Kids and everybody was laughing, tears were running down my face. Shortly after midnight, I excused myself and I went to my suite. I don't believe I've ever been in a lonelier place in the world. I worried, I felt sorry for myself. I was 52 years of age and I was alone. I sat on the couch, I moved from there to the bed. I went to a chair. I was a wreck. About 4 a.m. I remember there was probably a Gideon Bible in that room somewhere. Well, I found it. At about 5 in the morning, I said the sinner's prayer. I committed my life to Christ. I can't tell you in words, I can't express to you what happened at 5 a.m. that January 1st, 1987. But I can tell you this, Jesus came, he was in the room with me, he shared his love and poured out his love on me, and he gave me hope. And I fell asleep for the first time. A sound sleep. Well, when I went home, I became a Christian fanatic. I studied the Bible for hours every day. I attended church, Bible study, spent hours on the phone with Christian ministers. Any Christian that would give me his time, I talked to. Unbelievable. And I know at first that I expected God and Jesus to get my wife back. Well, after 12 months, I figured out that's not what he wanted. He wanted a personal relationship with me. And so I got the divorce started. Well, my faith grew. And then I wanted to get married again. Now you're 54 years old. And you want to get married? You want to date? You want to enter the scene? I asked friends, I network. I went to the single things at church, and they are just that, things. But I had a plan. And every time I went out on a date, I would usually go to dinner, and I would have a Christian couple in tow with me. And somewhere during dinner, I would turn and look at the date and say, so what do you think of Jesus Christ? 37 women in a row muttered, stuttered, stumbled, and answered wrong. Just the one date, that was it. I had a plan. Now it's 1989. And Home Shopping was having a party for our senior execs. And by this time our employees numbered almost 6,000. The exec ranks with wives numbered in the hundreds. The night of the party for the execs, I met the party planner responsible for this there. And I said, you know, could I take you to dinner after the New Year? She said, sure, why not? So right after New Year, I did just that. Called her, made the date, got my Christian couple friend, and we went to the dog track. Now she had never been, and I hadn't been in at least 20 years. Somewhere between the first and the second race, sitting in the clubhouse, having dinner, I turned to her and said, so what do you think of Jesus Christ? He looked at me a little quizzically and said, well, what do you want to know? I've known him all my life. I said, what are you doing Friday night? A side note on that date, she picked 12 of the 13 winners. 13 races, she picked 12. Now, I'm not going to tell you it was a sign from God. It surely impressed me. And I've been married to her now for 22 years. I can't tell you how many times God has smoothed out the edges in our relationship and brought happiness to our union. And probably the best lesson God taught me about a happy marriage was 4 simple words. And I'm going to give them to you now, especially for the men in the audience. Happy wife, happy life. Everybody writing? Everybody writing this down? If you don't memorize those 4, guys, you're going to have to learn 11. I was wrong. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Remember the 4 and you're much better off. Well, in 1990, I sold my HSN stock in Home Shopping and started Paxson Communications. My partner at the time in Home Shopping couldn't say a paragraph, a sentence without the F word. And I knew I was in the wrong place. So I sold out and took the money and started Paxson Communications. And over the years, so many times I had to turn to God and say, thank you. You know, I look back over all these years and I can tell you one thing. If He's on your side, I don't care who's against you. Don't make it. And that's so true. But you got to find out for yourself. And along the way in the early 90s, I also started the Worship Television Network. It's a nonprofit 24/7 worship service on television dedicated to worshiping God. I'm different now that I'm a Christian. That is the cornerstone of Christianity. Change lives. When I ask how I can believe in something I cannot see, I answer, change lives. My life was changed by Jesus, and I know hundreds of people whose life He has changed. Happier, assured, not perfect by any means. There have been ups and there have been downs. I'm human. I make mistakes. I still sin. But when the down and the sins come, you just get closer to God really quick. And things are right again. Changed lives are the cornerstone of Jesus Christ's work. Faith is believing in what you cannot see. And for me, this is easy. Let me tell you my favorite story about a changed life. And this is the real deal. His name was Newton, John Newton, born in 1725. Although he had some early religious instruction from his mom, she died when he was a child. And when he was 11 years old, he went to the sea to become a cabin boy. And by the age of 25, he was the captain of a ship that plied the slave trade. And they had recently loaded the ship with slaves chained together in the hold. Well, on the trip to America, they had a violent storm, probably a hurricane. John lay on his cabin floor and wrote in his journal, "Surely we shall die before dawn. All is lost. This ship will sink." To calm themselves, the slaves were humming a tune in the hold. John heard the melody. He lay prostrate on his cabin floor and begged God for mercy. And God answered. The waves subsided, they were spared. And when he reached port in America, he abandoned the slave trade, went back to England, went to the religious school and became a minister. He became the very first rector of the St. Mary Wool Church in London. And as such, he had a parishioner named William Wilberforce, who spent 25 years in Parliament, and on the 25th year, reintroduced for the 25th time to abolish slavery. And it got passed. Well, John did one other thing. He took the melody that he heard the slaves humming in the hold that night and wrote a song. It's become one of the most incredible songs of all time. You'll know it is Amazing Grace. How sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the first hour I believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares I've already come. 'Tis grace has brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. The Lord has promised good to me, his word my hope secures. He will my shield and portion be, as long as life endures. And yea, when this flesh and heart shall fail, and mortal life shall cease, I shall possess within the veil a life of joy and peace. The earth shall soon dissolve like snow, the sun forbear to shine, but God who called me here below will be forever mine. And when we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less day to sing God's praise than when we first begun.